Hey folks, and welcome to race number 9 of the Bwoah Racing League Season 4. And we're jumping straight into shock qualifying of the Canadian GP. I'm Sarthak alongside Ruds. As always, what's up Ruds, how you been?
A pleasure as always, Sarthak, and we're back with a nice track, so to say, one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. Cannot wait to get started.
Yeah, yep, I'm as excited as you are. Hopefully we don't encounter too many issues going into shock qualifying, but we should have a full racing grid. Oh, and there's rain out at Canada. Hey folks, and we're back. A bit of an issue, but we're back. And at the very end of shock qualifying, there's about a minute left, and we've got General Pepe on provisional pole. Ruds, how's it been so far?
Well, it started out pretty wet, as we saw earlier, and the rain, thankfully, had already stopped when quali began, so easily transitioned from inters into softs. There were a few people who went on the mediums, but yeah, that didn't last very long. However, the highlight I would say would be freeze on a stunning lap and then losing it just at the hairpin at sector 3, and that sort of summarizes qualifying session in one corner, so to say.
Alright, just 30 seconds left, and we've got General Pepe on provisional pole. Accelerate just a lap time, which is second fastest. Hopefully he holds on to it, but the two Renaults seem quite strong. Currently P3, P4, but General Pepe has retired from the session, which means he won't be able to set a better lap time. Now I wonder if the rest of the boys are going to try their best to snatch away that pole from him.
I don't think that would be happening because pretty much everybody who set their lap times in the front are finishing the qualifying session. We can see that Wex, Drunken Monkey, and SP11 are done with their sessions.
Yep.
So that pretty much is their path.
And Accelerate is slow out on track, so I reckon he's done with his lap as well. Oxygen coming in as a reserve driver from the Williams team, replacing Chris Bai, and he's on quite the lap.
Yep, last chance, and this is make or break for him.
Oh, KDB just went second fastest, so he could be starting in the first row on the grid, but as Oxygen comes through sector 3, through the penultimate and final corners, across the line, can he do one better? Yes, he does. He'll take pole position at the Canadian GP of the Bwoah Racing League Season 4.
And that is just like over 700ths of a lap, Sarthak. There's just 700ths of a second between him and General Pepe.
Yeah, so close. I think General Pepe could have beaten that lap time had he stayed out, perhaps. But regardless, Oxygen puts the car on pole. And we'll see him start in the front row. General Pepe is starting on the front row as well. KDB and Big Man Joe right behind them. Now Big Man Joe with the late right hook. He's starting on the second row. And we see Vix 356 right up there.
Session having pretty top speed, to be honest. Look at we face. They are all bottom grade.
Yep, the likes of Ferrello and Freeze, who you'd expect start in the front half of the grid, is in the bottom, and I just wonder if we've gotten tied up with an issue. Ruds will return soon enough. Meanwhile, folks, for the handful of you all watching, drop in the chat who you're here for. Who do you think will come out on top? There you have it. That is our grid for race number 9. Oxygen on pole, General Pepe right behind KDB. Big Man Joe, Vixie 5-6 up there after quite some time. I think it's been for the first time this season, in fact, that he's qualified in the top 5. He did finish in the top 5 last season around on the same track. Perhaps we'll see a similar result here today. And on to the race. 50% race distance. So for a substantial amount of time, we'll see the cars out on track. And the highlight, of course, in the final corner of the track, we see the Wall of Champions. It's dubbed, and we could possibly see a couple of cars crash out there. Not jinxing anyone, wouldn't want to see that happen, but we've seen it happen last season around for sure. Drivers will.
For you to bring up champions, I remember how you couldn't stop gushing about it last season, and I see no change this time.
Yeah. Gotta keep the possibilities open. To think the incidents going back to last season's Canadian GP, UK and Vixie 5-6 had a nifty incident which ended up being discussed throughout the week, to and fro amongst the stewards. But yeah, regardless, the topic right now in conversation, the highlight in fact is Vixie 5-6. He's managed to qualify P5.
Pretty impressive feat. Not gonna.
Yeah, and I just wonder if we'll have a reho. No, we won't. Thor seems to be ready to go. Vex is up as well.
The successive time that is readied up here than the one supposed to be. So this might investigate it again.
Should be good to go soon enough.
The sun low enough to get a completely dry race, and my car towards the dry race.
You're breaking quite a bit, Ruds.
Well, I was talking about sun indicating anything but a dry race, and I do firmly believe that the finish line on the last lap will be dry as well.
We'd expect so, as we get a couple of metrics on screen. Apologies if you are unable to hear the game. We seem to have a bit of an issue, but yep, through the formation lap they go. Any predictions, Ruds?
Say it's gonna be General Pepe, KDP, and Big Man Joe podium, but I do believe Oxygen will challenge for a podium position at least.
Alright, we see SV11 starting from P10, higher than usual, that's for sure. But can he make sure that translates into a race result? Find out soon enough. Rockman starting P13 as his teammate starts P4, way up in the grid. We got Drunken Monkey out on track. One of the top drivers from last season, managing to put the car in the points every race he comes out.
So interesting that Darian have roles qualifying, because so for 10 cities struggle.
Yeah, you're breaking quite a lot, Ruds. But yeah, seems like today's the day of audio mishaps at the Bwoah Racing League. But hopefully we can have a good race and enjoy it.
I hope this does make things better.
A bit, yes. Okay.
Technically because I lost team, so the being kind today.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let's just hope we get through this race in one piece. We're all set, ready to go. Oxygen starts for the first time on pole position here in the BRL. We will see General Pepe take the fight to him, of course. And let's hope we don't have issues at the start of the race. 20 drivers out on track. Race number 9 of the Bwoah Racing League Season 4. The lights should be out soon enough. Seems like we've got an issue, perhaps. Unless I'm the one having the issue and the race has started already on your screen, Ruds.
I wouldn't know because I'm still connecting to the lobby.
Okay, alright.
It might be the game again.
It's chaos. But let's just wait.
Well, the race is just starting on my screen.
Yeah, on mine as they go off track, start off. Pretty much messed that one up. Seems like Oxygen holds on to the lead of the race. Right behind though. General KDB has company. Takes the fight to General Pepe. Seems like there's a bit of lobby glitching, of course. Accelerate running right behind Mr. Wex, taking the fight to Big Man Joe. Vix 356 has managed to overtake Big Man Joe, but KDB spins on my screen. Rusty Nish gets a 5-second penalty. Freeze gets a 5-second penalty. So it's chaos at the back of the pack as well. And the leaderboards, forgive me, the standings on our screens are going haywire. Vix 356 up into P3.
Interestingly, it said General Pepe had a severe collision with KDB. He got a 5-second penalty for that as well. And that seems to have sent KDB tumbling down the order.
Yeah, but he's managing to run P7 for now. I'm pretty sure he's going to pit soon enough. Probably come out on the same set of tires. But as it stands, Vex up into P5, Accelerate P6, P7, KDB as I mentioned earlier. Thor's running a healthy P8 and Gout's running P9 with Horning up into P10. Seems like we had a huge issue at the back of the pack.
You'd be happy to see the P3 position. You'd be happy to see the P3 position, by the way. And who's now P1 actually.
Yeah, brilliant. Vix 356 leads the race after quite some time. I think my memory serves me right. Vix 356 last led a race in the last season of the Chinese GP. Safety car's out. Seems like there's been another.
That was his last moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, to mention, Ruds, I think there was a huge incident at the back of the pack which we missed. A bunch of drivers, Hyrox 24, SV11 and the likes, all handed out penalties and all into the pits they go.
Definitely. There seems to have been a major accident involving Rusty Nish, SV11, Rocketman, Gambler and Harry Rocks, but not really sure who instigated that.
Yeah, I'm sure no one will be pleased about it, but as it stands,
even Freeze was caught into it, and he also got a 5-second penalty to go along with that.
you would think things would stop becoming worse for the likes of Freeze and Rusty Nish, both drivers, race winners from last season around. However, this season not been their best.
I'm curious to see how the order shakes up once the safety car goes in, because the odd pit stops and people getting damaged and just going in has shaken the grid quite a bit, and there's going to be a lot of battles heading into the first sector.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. Gouts goes up into P5 as Thor pits. Right now, the top 5 looking a lot like last season's top 5. But of course, Gouts is the newest member to come into the front of the pack.
I'm glad for him, but I just want to know if he has the pace to at least keep the people behind him at bay. and maybe stick close enough to accelerate to get carried along, because I think that would be the best strategy.
Yeah, I'd expect so. Horning's up in a P6 as well. Both the Alpha Tauris running in points. Now they'll want to make sure that's the case come to race finish. We got Sicknig being... Yeah, go ahead, Ruds.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's pretty funny seeing General Pepe and KDB down at the very bottom. Not almost at the bottom, but I think they are gonna have the most number of overtakes today.
Yep. Perhaps they were, meanwhile, in the chat lighting up is support for Gouts and a bit of new folks coming through to watch the race itself. Possibly a bit disappointed on my side for not giving them the best experience. But we'll hang on as Vix356 leads this race. Safety car still out. And looks like the boards are switching a bit. Sicknig seems to have started racing almost.
Hey, what happened? Oh, he quit.
Yeah, you're breaking quite a bit, Ruds. But as it stands, seems like on Sicknig's screen, the race has begun.
It began because the safety car, but I just...
Oh, there's a Ferrari spun, and that is Gouts. Gouts with the spin. I mean, it's all smiles to nothing for Gouts as he tumbles down to the back of the pack. Meanwhile, in the midfield, Drunken Monkey taking the fight to Gambler. As we stay on board, Drunken Monkey. Beautiful pulls to the right, wheel to wheel through sector 2 as they go. Drunken Monkey should have gotten this done pretty well. Oh, that's the keyboard probably messing with him a bit. Wheel to wheel once again. McLaren versus Renault. They come through sector 2, exiting sector 2 into sector 3. Drunken Monkey showing his might. Sector 1 going yellow. General Pepe climbing up the pack. Right behind Baby Shumi fancies a battle alongside Gambler as he goes. And Gambler loses 2 positions within a sector. Wheel to wheel through the penultimate and the final corner. Did the world champions take Gambler down? No, it didn't, but cost him a position for sure as Freeze and as well as Hyrox 24 gets the position on Gambler. Gouts.
Sarthak, it seems to me that Sicknig is a ghost currently. I don't know if the guy has already been disqualified.
Yep. Seems like it, which means he'll have to stick on the Vix356. So he's leading this race. Oxygen climbing up the pack as well. We see KDB climbing up the pack as well. He's just overtaken General Pepe. Now the 2 drivers you would expect fighting for the for the race lead is fighting for the first points position, which is P10.
Well, I think that fighting will lead them up to the top of the pack in a few laps for sure.
I'm sure too. As you stay on board, General Pepe, he's got SV11 in front of him. I'm pretty sure KDB is looking at this and smiling because SV11 did what he would do, and it's so disappointing to see, but that costs General Pepe a lot of time and a lot of positions. He's spun, he's doing donuts out on track. Pretty sure involuntarily.
I don't know if that was unintentional or it was just plain cynical. Looked like it was pure cynical on my side.
SV11 clearly not the cleanest of seasons, he can agree after this one.
That was pretty bad regardless. I think SV wanted to dive into the pits, but he decided to take General Pepe along with him as collateral.
Forgive me for my absence, Ruds, but seems like we got a bit of an issue. Let me just quickly check that our viewers can see. Yep. Okay, looks like we're doing good. SV11 and Gouts facing the brunt of this race already. SV11 running P18, Gouts running P19, and we've already lost Freeze out of this race.
Yep, funnily enough, Freeze says that his car has been disconnected, and the next thing he knew, he was crashed into the wall.
Yeah,
So this can be just another glitch lobby.
Meanwhile, a commendable job done by Mr. Wex. He's running P2. He's got Big Man Joe to worry about right behind, and Horning as well. A bit of contact there between Big Man Joe and Mr. Wex. But look how close the front of the pack is.
I'm curious to see if everybody is facing this issue, or is it just Freeze right now? Because I do see the driver struggling.
Yep.
It could be the lobby.
Meanwhile, Oxygen fancying around the outside of Accelerate. He's not going to make it easy for him. Seems like Horning had a bit of an issue. Oxygen being incredibly aggressive, splitting the cars, and he gets 2 positions but within a corner. Meanwhile, Big Man Joe will fancy peeking down the inside of Mr. Wex. Couldn't quite get it. Very cautious going through the final corner there. A wall of champions indeed, and he is a champion. Wouldn't want to see him in the wall. Big C56 leading this race for now, but he's got to worry about Oxygen, who's climbing up the pack pretty darn quick.
He has held his own pretty well, surprisingly so far.
Meanwhile, down the order, KDB making strides. He overtakes his teammate, Sicknig. I'm pretty sure that was a team call. KDB being the quicker driver. He has not many drivers to worry about, considering General Pepe is running P15. So KDB's objective right now should be closing the gap to Oxygen. And Big Man Joe goes down the inside of Mr. Wex. Nicely done by Mr. Wex. Won't back off, I'm sure. Will for sure get the slipstream that he needs. Stay on the tail of Big Man Joe, and fancy going down the inside of him into the final corner. Big Man Joe holding it. Big C56 goes into the pits, and so does Mr. Wex, which means Big Man Joe will lead this race. This means you got Oxygen, Horning, and KDB right behind him. Sector 3 goes yellow as Sicknig retires from the race. And I wonder if he's retired out on track or in the pits. In the pits it is. Big Man Joe leading this race with Oxygen right behind. And Horning running P3. Staying on board Horning, you'll know how quick Oxygen is. I mean, he's made incredible strides, and he's on the gearbox of Big Man Joe now. I won't be surprised if he takes the race lead soon enough. But knowing Big Man Joe, he's not going to make it easy for him.
Yep, Oxygen is certainly a driver you need to be wary of, but to be quite honest, I'm actually curious to see how General Pepe is going to make up stuff now. I think that the lobby is glitching again. I'm not sure,
I'm pretty sure the lobby is glitching. I mean, I'm sure Sicknig had a similar issue to Freeze, which is super disappointing because you want to see all these guys go wheel to wheel through every corner, in fact. But yeah, it is what it is. The game is in that kind of a scenario right now, and it's beyond our control. VC56, who was leading this race just a couple of laps ago, is currently running P7 with no penalties, so that should play in his favor coming into the last couple of laps of this race. Meanwhile, only driver out on track on softs is Horning, 9-lap-old softs. Has KDB to worry about 3 seconds off of him. So shouldn't be an issue per se. 3-second tire penalty for Mr. Wex, who's running P9. And at the back of the pack, Gambler making strides as Baby Shumi goes into the pits. Seems like that was a glitch as well. Baby Shumi out on track, and Gouts taking the fight to Baby Shumi. Yep, due for a pit stop. Horning goes into the pits for a fresh set of mediums. And we got KDB running P2 with Oxygen leading this race. Ferrello up in a P3. Nish closing that gap to Drunken Monkey. Meanwhile, Ruds, what do you think? Which driver is best poised to a good race result?
If anything, I can just look at Honig perhaps, because he is the only clean driver other than the top 3 right now in the grid. Ferrello and Honig for the win. Oxygen, of course, but I think these 4 drivers will end up making the most difference.
I'd expect so. Meanwhile, Rusty Nish running P5, trying to close that gap to Drunken Monkey. Half a second off Drunken Monkey, so I'd expect him to pull a move or two going into the next couple of laps. We're almost a lap older medium tires. So he's got 2 really quick drivers behind him to worry about as Big Man Joe tries down the inside of X356 and should be able to get that position off of the Ferrari driver, and he will. Going back to last season, if I must mention, X356 and I were having a chat and he exclaimed how Big Man Joe's racecraft is phenomenal, one of the best in the league.
See,
this is something you'd enjoy seeing if you were with us last season around, because Big Man Joe taking the fight to Rusty Nish. Down the inside he goes, locks up the front right, but keeps it wheel to wheel around the hairpin and should get it done.
mediums are helping, and it might be once every.
You're braking quite a bit, but we heard what you were trying to convey, Ruds. Those medium tires playing in the favor of Big Man Joe, and should be able to get the move done on Drunken Monkey as well. Man with a mission.
That will be P1 once everybody pits around him, because they some medium.
Yeah. Yep. As you mentioned earlier, X356, Big Man Joe and Horning are looking like they're in promising positions as of now. Oh, it looks like there's a spin, and that's an AlphaTauri, and that's Rusty Nish. He was running in a brilliant position, but unfortunately for him, he's fallen down to P10 now. That's going to cost him even more once he pits. And Horning and X356 going wheel to wheel around the hairpin. They'll go Ferrari and Mercedes. Horning around the outside. Should be able to keep his position perhaps. But no, they stay wheel to wheel so close to one another. And Horning seems to have the upper edge here. Upper hand it is. Yep, Horning should be able to keep that position. X356, mighty fight given by him. Has a bit of contact with the world champions, but will continue to run P7. X356 getting handed a 3-second time penalty, while Rusty Nish gets a 5-second time penalty as well. Oh, UK in the chat. Great to see you come by to show your support. He's not out on track. However, Thorin Gambler for McLaren. Gambler has driven for 3 different teams already this season. Meanwhile, Horning on the tail of Drunken Monkey. The way I look at it, Oxygen's not pulling away the way General Pepe does. So there's still hope for who might end up being the race winner. Then again, considering the start of the race, if we do have a safety car, anything is possible. Ruds, are you with me?
Yep, I'm right here, Sarthak, and I just got disconnected for the 5th time from stream, so I really don't know what to make of my lucky
Yeah.
move.
Meanwhile, Horning pulls off an incredible move, and right behind, the Renault of Mr. Wex tried to take the fight to the Ferrari. Right behind, Pepe coming real close to Mr. Wex. Clearly, that incident with SV will be reviewed, I'm sure. Meanwhile, General Pepe taking the fight to Mr. Wex, and Wex to Vix356. 9 of y'all in chat, make sure you drop who you're here for, who do you think will come out on top of this race. As obvious as it might seem right now that the top 3 are pulling away, you'd reckon anything's possible for the next 20 laps. Four drivers real close. 2 Renaults involved here on the tail of Mr. Wex. General Pepe had a bit of contact, kept it on track. Will dive down the inside. The question is, will he be able to get the move done? That's Mr. Wex, General Pepe, and Vix356. Can he get 2 in 1? No, it seems like there was a bit of contact between 2 drivers there. Pepe should hold on to that position. Ferrello and Big Man Joe battling it out. Nope. One of the drivers going into the pits. That's Ferrello going into the pits. Accelerate running P10. And you can see the DRS train, as you might say, between Drunken Monkey, Vix356, General Pepe, and Mr. Wex. General Pepe having sorted out his battle with Mr. Wex, taking the fight to Vix356. Vix356 came into this race banging, didn't he? Like, he brought everything to the table. Ruds, you with me? Seems like I might have just lost Ruds.
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm right here, but I have only your excitement to base the race on.
All right, I'll solve that in just a bit, Ruds. Meanwhile, Vix356 taking the fight to General Pepe.
I seem to be connecting to the game, but let's hope that I don't get kicked out this time.
Yep, hopefully. Meanwhile, Accelerate taking the fight to Mr. Wex. Mr. Wex lost one too many positions already, and this is not going to help him one bit. Accelerate gets the move done, while up ahead, Drunken Monkey is glitching quite a bit, steers off and loses the position to 3 drivers in a matter of a corner. Oh, the Renault's incredibly fierce in Sector 1. Mr. Wex taking the fight of Vix356. I mean, look at these 4 drivers go. Meanwhile, General Pepe pulled away quite a bit from Vix356. And he is on a mission, clearly, trying to push those mediums as much as he can, just like Oxygen KDBR. Meanwhile, Big Man Joe will be looking forward to close that gap. Front lock up by General Pepe through the hairpin. Meanwhile, we already had 2 DNFs in the race already. Mr. Wex closing in on Vix356. Almost had contact going through World Champions. Going through the corner where the World Champions is. And wheel to wheel they go. Renault and Ferrari. Mr. Wex and Vix356. Quite similar names. But fighting for position is what they're doing right now. Guts gets a 3-second time penalty yet again.
To see Wix fighting at the top once again, you know, because Bahrain probably the lowest point of his current season, I would say.
Yes, it was.
He's a shadow of the former self right now, and now he has delivered some consistent performances, to be fair.
Yeah, I think going into the latter half of the season, like I've mentioned many times, we're going to see quite the competitiveness from the likes of Vix356 UK as well. We've already seen Big Man Joe fighting at the top, and Vix356 making his way right up there. I'm excited. I'm excited. As sector 2 goes yellow, and I wonder if that was SV11 with an issue.
Seems to be that SV11 got caught on the wrong side of the curb, I suppose.
Yeah.
Maybe spun out.
Yep. I'd assume so too, and he's lost an end plate as well. So sector 3 goes yellow, and I wonder what went down there.
The main straight seems to be in a yellow flag. I see a Renault going slower, but
And
be drunken monkey.
And a McLaren has spun in sector 2. That's Gambler while battling it with Gouts. I'd assume with Gouts, yes, with Gouts. Unfortunate, sector 1, 2 and 3 are yellow on my screen, but that would mean a safety car, and we don't see a safety car out yet. So clearly that's a glitch. Staying on board, accelerate as he takes the fight.
Yellow flag, so.
Yeah. This battle's been going on for a while now. Ruds, Vix356 and Mr. Wex.
Yep, neither wants to give up on the other, and it's just constant position swapping. Well, Wex will have a double DRS if I'm not wrong, so this might be his best chance to get an overtake done.
And will get it done indeed. Should be able to. Oh, there's contact there at Vix356. Tried to hold his line, just couldn't do it. Costed him quite a bit of time. Meanwhile, at the back, Accelerate making strides as RB Ferrello gets overtaken as well as Drunken Monkey.
Oh, General Pepe seems to be falling down. Okay, that's because he has pit. I think this might be the top.
He's coming out on fresh set of mediums. Meanwhile, Gambler and Thor, both the McLarens, seems to be ghosted. Running plumb last, and I'm sure UK won't be pleased by this. And Gouts as well, he was in such a great position until he was caught off guard by a spin around lap 10 or 8. Super unfortunate for him. And both the front runners pit. Ruds, that is Oxygen and KDB. Now I wonder if Horning will be able to split the front runners, and I presume so. Yep. Seems like Big Man Joe had an incident perhaps. It seemed like he'd take the race lead, but seems to be he's lost position.
Yup, and not just one but three.
He definitely had an issue on the main straight. Somehow, somewhere things didn't go his way. Oxygen retakes the race lead, and the gap has been closed. No more 11-second gap between Big Man Joe and the front runners, and Horning finds himself between the front runners for now.
Although it is interesting to note that Horning will have to
Yep.
just one more time. Those mediums are going to last him for another 10 laps, and that's pretty much it. Whereas Oxygen and KDB are done with their pit stop strategy.
No. Meanwhile, wheel to wheel they go. Horning and KDB, that should be done real quick. KDB gets his position P2 back. Baby Shumi gets handed a 3-second time penalty. During this time, we lost Hyrox 24 as well. He's retired from the race.
Yep, so that's 3 DNFs so far, including a very absurd last few laps for Sicknig for some reason, where he shot across everyone while the safety car was coming in.
Yeah, and that
will have to be analyzed in the footage section.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. Front wing change and a new set of medium tires. Mr. Wex coming out of the pits should be able to rejoin the track in P9. Right behind the driver he's been fighting for quite some time now, Vix356.
I'm quite amazed by RB Ferrello and Wick's decision to go for the softs, and even Rusty Nish for that matter. I think they might be going for an alternate strategy, but let's see how that works out.
Channel Pepe running P7. You'd expect him to take the fight to the front runners because he's in the same set of tires. But the front runners don't have 4 drivers to worry about.
Yeah, but I do think that General Pepe will get net P3 once the other 4 drivers pit. You will definitely see Horning, Big Man Joe, RB Ferrello pit. And that will allow General Pepe to climb at least until P3 and maybe challenge for P2 even.
Perhaps. But the way this race has been, I'd expect the unexpected. And speaking about unacceptable,
It is unacceptable as well.
if there's one thing that's unacceptable, it's got to be the fact that Gauts is running P14. I mean, to think that he was in the top 5 just a while back and that one spin cost him everything. He's running P14, trying to close that gap between drivers. He's already done it to 3. Next up is Baby Shumi, and he'll be looking to finish a decent P10 at the most. I mean, this was a dream.
He qualified P8.
Yeah, and to think this was like the brilliant qualifying session and brilliant race result perhaps leading into that spin of Gauts for the team itself. You see Vix 356 as strong as he is now at this race, and you see Gauts who's ghosted in fact, which means he's disconnected. Meanwhile, the gaps are becoming larger, and Freeze coming through in the chat says, unacceptable is my bad luck. And indeed, we sympathize with you, bro.
For sure. And this has been going around for quite some time. We can assume that the new game is going to be coming out in a few months, and so support on this game might have slowed down, but even then it's certainly not at all possible that the game can reach such bad standards, especially in terms of online play.
Yep. Meanwhile, in the chat, UK is suggesting Ferrello might not pit as he gets passed by General Pepe.
Interesting. Ferrello not pitting on those 8-lap old softs is some concern. You 13 laps really risk more laps on that.
Meanwhile, a lot of ghosted cars at the back of the pack. I wonder if this is a glitch or for a fact these drivers have disconnected. Gauts and SV11 in specific. Oh, it seems like they're back. At least SV11 is, from what it seems like.
SV11 still be ghosted for me.
Yeah, but Gauts is
in fact.
Yeah, and so is SV11 on my screen. I'm pretty sure this is an issue with the game. Meanwhile, Baby Shumi running P13. He'll be looking to finish in the points, bringing a good points haul for the team. And right behind is KDB lapping him.
It's curious. Running in P2 was lapping people who are down in P13 already.
Meanwhile, Horning holding on.
Pace of the front 3.
Yeah. Which I must point out to you.
Horning holding on, Sarthak.
Yeah.
Horning will have to pit very soon.
That's precisely what I was going to bring up. Considering those 15-lap-old mediums, you'd reckon he'd really appreciate a safety car right about now.
For sure. Those mediums will take him for another 5 laps, but after that, it's all in the hands of his own management skills, or maybe he just risks it all and goes for the softs.
The gaps have become only bigger in the front half of the grid. Let's jump down to Baby Shumi and Gauts. Just as I thought Gauts is closing that gap, he's gone and pitted. And we'll have changed
And
tires.
has also pitted.
And both drivers coming out on fresh set of softs. Curious to see where Horning will rejoin
That's
the
pretty
track.
good.
Should be ahead of Big Man Joe.
Hopefully, I think a top 5 finish for Horning would be incredibly good. He qualified P11, so he was out of the top 10 places in anyway. So that would be a solid result for the Mercedes after what has been a pretty bad month for them.
Yep. Unfortunate for the two drivers who managed to lock out the front row in 2 occasions, but never able to translate that into a race result. Imagine the Mercedes 1-2 runs. How Formula 1 can we get?
In terms of BRL, I don't think so because getting a right lobby is the first priority in BRL.
Yep, true that. Guts coming out on softs with a 23-second gap to close to Baby Shumi.
The Baby Shumi is pitting, so Gods may just take the most of the opportunity and overtake.
Sector 3 goes yellow. And seems like that's a McLaren.
McLaren stuck at the wall of champions.
That's Gambler.
And it's Gambler, I guess. Yes, it
Yep.
is. And he is retired.
Yeah, pretty much. That is the end of the McLaren's race. Disappointing. That's going to hit them hard for constructors. You still got Thor in the race.
Don't have a team driver, by the way, for McLaren. So, did on go, but yeah, it can at times.
You're breaking quite a bit, Rules, but from what you said, I'd assume you were talking about how the main drivers didn't show up on track.
Yeah, I was talking about how boosted points would be a huge ask to just and to do that good, you know,
Yep.
right off the bat.
Of course. But you'd expect from someone like Gambler who's gone into that Williams car and, in Azerbaijan of all places, managed to get a good set of points. Meanwhile, Ferrello taking the fight to Mr. Wex. Around the outside he goes, gets the move done, of course. Fresh set of softs, while Wex on the mediums, so I'm not surprised, I'd say. But Wex trying to hold on to that gap. As long as he keeps it within a second of each other, he should be in a good position.
Look at that gap from P2 to P3, Sarthak. Oxygen and KDP could actually go for a pit stop right now and still come out before General Pepe.
He's got lots to close, and he's got 5 laps, and that's pretty much undoable unless there's a safety car or some other upset in the race. Meanwhile, I'm curious if Horning can close that 5-second gap over 5 laps, but that's a huge feat in itself. Oh, not.
Agreed, but Horning can challenge for a podium position.
I'm sure he can.
He has the softs.
And how much is General Pepe on in terms of penalties?
So right off the bat, if you were to look at it, General Pepe has 3 seconds worth of penalties, so it's not a lot, but that certainly makes things easier for Horning. All he has to do is get within 3 seconds of General Pepe.
Yeah, which
I
means
feel it's doable in 5 laps.
Yeah, and Freeze in the chat, if you're watching, which I'm sure you are, your driver has a shot at a podium, my guy.
Some respite for him after what has been a very torrid day.
Yep. Meanwhile, Ferrello.
Are you seeing what I'm seeing, Sarthak? Clouds.
In
fact.
Yeah, but how much of rain could one expect in the last couple of laps, and how much of it will have an effect in the race result itself? I'd say not much unless it does come down pouring by lap number 33.
You're right about that, and I have seen entire races turn in a blink of an eye. I was recently watching a video of TRL Limitless, and he literally pit for inters on the last lap. Came out, and he ended up winning the race, and it was at Canada.
Oh, incredible. I wouldn't expect a similar situation here, but that story in itself, if that happened in BRL, you can expect me to jump off my seat and run around for that.
No traction for any of the cars ahead on the softs, and they took a risk, but it didn't pay off. So I suppose if the rain were to come on lap 33 or 34, we might just see the entire standings shuffle again.
Yeah, but as it's, I don't think we're gonna see rain in lap number 33. And yeah, after that, I wouldn't expect much of a change. I don't think it's gonna come down pouring right off the bat. So Ferrello desperately trying to get ahead of X356, and X356, him being him, not making it easy.
If there's one thing about Rick 356 that you cannot match any driver in BRL for that matter, is his defending skills.
Yep. And as we say, that sector 3 went yellow, and I'm pretty sure that was a McLaren which had a bit of spin, but Thor keeps it on track. He's gonna bring the car home, I'm pretty sure. He's gonna finish this race. He'll make sure he finishes this race. Ferrello trying his best. Down the inside, he peaked. Around the outside he goes. X356 making it incredibly difficult for the AlphaTauri driver to even think about making a move on him. And this is what you would expect to see from X356. Incredible defending.
And similarly, Big Man Joe was also right behind Horning. He still is, and maybe could spoil Horning's party of catching up to General Pepe. As you see, the gap's already 6.6 seconds.
Ferrello trying his best to get the move done before the hairpin, because he knows X356 is not going to make it easy for him, but he does get it done around the outside. X356 is going to tuck right behind Ferrello, hoping for the slipstream that he needs, and hoping to make a corner, the final corner, stick into his favor. X356 down the inside, wheel to wheel almost, but backs off. And Ferrello should have that position.
A wise call indeed.
Yep. That would have been nasty if X356 decided to hold his line down the inside. Last time around it was a minor incident with another driver. This time around he backs off.
Big Man Joe is less than half a second behind Horning.
Meanwhile, right up in front, Oxygen, 5-second gap. How much in terms of penalties do you think Oxygen has? This Big Man Joe goes off track. He had a collision with the wall, but somehow keeping it on track.
Yep, that was frightening. It almost turned into a tank slapper, but luckily he regained control on time.
Meanwhile, that gap's only extended, so Big Man Joe can hope for a points finish, and looks like our expectations in terms of rain isn't going to be fulfilled. Roods doesn't seem like it's going to rain in the penultimate lap, and I don't think the final lap rain will count for anything. So yeah, won't see many upsets, and could possibly see our podium being Oxygen, KDB and General Pepe. Of course, depends on how much of penalties Oxygen's wrapped up so far.
So Oxygen has less penalties than KDB. And by quite a margin. Oxygen is on 6 seconds worth of penalties, while KDB has 11 seconds worth of penalties.
Unfortunate for KDB then.
General Pepe is on 6 seconds. So Horning just has to get one more second in the last lap.
Yeah.
He could get a podium.
Yeah, and
That's
Pepe's
how close it is.
Pepe is giving it his all. He wants this podium real bad because he knows how close Horning is. Meanwhile, Oxygen going through the end of Sector 2. His first race, we did see him out on track for pre-season testing, I presume. I don't think we saw him at any race coming in as a hired driver.
Yep, I think this might be his first time.
Yep.
We had Baba G for the Dutch GP, but we didn't have Oxygen for Williams.
Yeah. Brilliant. Then as he comes across the final corner, Oxygen, brilliant stuff out on track today as he comes across the line, and a brilliant race finish. Led the race for the most part and wins the BRL Season 4 Canadian GP. KDB comes across the line, finishes P2.
P2, I must admit.
And General Pepe should have it done. Yep, Horning doesn't seem like he can close that gap. Through the final corner, he comes a good points haul for the Hearts team. Will keep the constructors lead, and General Pepe in frustration sends that car into the wall. He's done with this race. P3 finish. Horning coming across the line. P4, Big Man Joe P5. So that's the Roadrunner Racing P4 and P5. Both in the points, but good points haul for the Mercedes team and Alfa Romeo team. Big Man Joe and Horning. Ferrello holding on to P6. Should be able to get it done unless... Yep. P6, Alpha Tauri in the points as well. Vic 356 after quite some time bringing home the points for his team as Gauts finishes outside of points. P7 race result.
Thoroughly deserved, in my opinion.
A lot of drivers got caught off guard with bad luck, specifically Gauts. Freeze, he's been pretty vocal about it on his side as well. But the podium itself, Oxygen on the top step for the Williams team. They'll be glad about that. That should help in constructors quite a bit. KDB P2 and General Pepe in P3. The climb, General Pepe's climb. It's only becoming even better to watch race on race. That is the race result for y'all folks. Oxygen wins this race, becomes a new race winner in the league, and KDB right behind General Pepe as well. P3 locking up the podium. Horning, Big Man Joe, Ferrello, Wixie 5-6 accelerating the points, so Red Bull gets their set of points. Vex P9 finish, a decent points finish for the Renault team. Drunken Monkey coming in for Renault, finishing in the points as well. They'll be glad about that. For the 10 of y'all who stayed till the very end, thank you very much. Apologies for all the issues that we came across along the race since start till the finish. And we'll see you again next weekend. And I believe we head to Paul Ricard. I believe there's a break, and then we'll head to Paul Ricard, where our good friend Freeze finished P1 last season. Until next race.
A brilliant strategy. So let's hope for something just like that once more.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys.